All right, Ann Mayer, appreciate the comment once again. Ann Mayer says, men with bachelor's degrees, and I appreciate that you even dialed into the reality that, predominantly men are on that bandwagon, aren't they? And I don't know, why they felt the need in the last post generation to be like that, but I think it is a lot to do with insecurity about what's happened since 1980. And a lot of guys are probably like my age and maybe a little bit younger that are in that. And what I noticed in high school was most men stopped reading in high school or were already done reading by sixth grade and they haven't picked up a book since then. And they'll sit there and tell me how, oh, it doesn't matter if you don't read or if you don't look at textbooks or if you don't know anything like the way that you're learning it. Or, I can go get the same education and, off of YouTube. Okay, great. But we know that that doesn't translate to career dollars. And you can't tell those people that because it's like they're looking at a wall. They don't realize there's a door there with a handle and you can walk through it. They only see the wall. They don't see the door. And it's like the dog that cannot see a rainbow. And so, we're kind of just beating our heads against the wall trying to explain this to them. Instead, we just walk through the door and they never see us either move or go through the wall, right? Because it's what it is to them. And we're standing in the doorway like right now, and I'm telling them, I'm in the doorway for you guys. You need to come through. But no, they just see that I've vanished because they don't want to see me anymore, and it's only them looking at a wall. But back to the main. You say men with bachelor's degrees earn approximately $900,000 more in the median lifetime of earnings than high school graduates. Yeah, it's factual. And that's just the median, right? Yes, you can go and do all kinds of things. You don't need 1,000% to go to college, but it doesn't. Yeah, and this is where they get messed up. They think, oh, I don't need to go to college to have a life. You're correct. You don't have to, but you will do better. And if you wonder why other societies are pulling ahead of us since 1980, and most of the males have dropped out of the entire interest pool for higher education, those two things are connected, absolutely connected. And then if those same people look around and they see, why are they bringing in all these H-1B visa people? Why are they bringing in all these guys with, from India and China and Pakistan and, Egypt and the Middle East to do these jobs? It's like, is it not equating that those folks are literally coming in? They're getting the opportunity to do a job that you made a choice about 30, 40 years ago. People made choices 30, 40 years ago with their life about what they wanted to do. Did they want to study and take school serious in high school? Or did they want to drink and do drugs and, engage in counterculture stuff? Because, and I'm being specific, because that's what a lot of men did back in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And, yes, there are conversations to be had about how our culture is to blame for that, and not white culture or black culture or brown culture or gray culture or yellow culture, none of that. It's about the American mainstream media culture. The media culture has part of the responsibility, because the media culture in other countries where people were still valuing education was telling them, go get ahead, go study hard, do these classes. On the weekends, you can even go do these classes over here. Do some sports, practice yoga, lift weights, do stuff, take care of yourself. But no, in America, what the hell were people doing other than goofing off and doing drugs and listening to, music nonstop and, partying at the bar and going to watch the LA Dodgers play? Observing a culture and participating in a culture has its pros and cons. Yeah, and we're seeing the cons of it in a lot of these arguments, right? So I'm just laying this full thing out for anybody listening so that they can think about it and think about how we got here. And people were making choices with their life in 1987, 1997, 2005, which is, why society is the way it is and why all these people are being brought in to do this work. Well, because those folks chose not to go to college. Those folks had opportunities to become doctors, dentists, lawyers, clinicians, nurses, PAs, MAs, psychologists, everything. And they chose not to. They chose not to. So now we have to reap the rewards of it and watch what's happened with our society when the people decided to check out. And, you know, hate to quote Timothy Leary, but what did he say? Tune in, tune out, and drop out. Tune in, turn on, and drop out. Yeah, tune in, turn on, and drop out. Sure looks like that's what's happened to me, isn't it? Everybody tuned in, they turned on, and then they dropped out. And we're just kind of seeing the after effects of that. I don't know what the solution is for the culture. I don't know what the solution is for the people. I don't know what the solution is for people's mental health. I don't know what the solution is as to why I'm in classes and sometimes I'm the only man. I don't know in community college, in bachelor's programs, and in master's programs. And, you know, here's something else that's shocking. I've been in a lot of classes in California where I'm the only white person. I talk about this in classrooms. I've given presentations on it. Why am I the only white person here? California. And you think it's better in other places? No. Representation matters. And we know that a lot of people from the South send their kids here to get educated, right? And there are a lot of kids from Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. Why? Because I go to school with them and I see them every day. And, you know, my dad's a rancher. My dad runs an oil place. My dad owns a bunch of gas stations in Tomball, Texas. Yeah, so people are starting, I think they're starting to come back. I think that men are starting to come back. When I say people, I think men are starting to come back. But for the most part, like, you know, I've been in many classes, the only man in all my classes. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Food for thought. Practice kindness. Choose life. Speak to people in the way you wish to be spoken to. And stay busy. And for God's sakes, if you're in school, stay in school. If you want to go to school, get to school.